Hello everyone. Coming up in the news, State Health Minister Michael Ferguson faces hours of scrutiny over the long-awaited new wing of the Royal Hobart Hospital. Anthony Albanese starts his search for answers on Labor's election loss in Tasmania. Carlton sacks coach Brendan Bolton as the President says the club's win-loss record simply isn't good enough. 2 Australians injured as a massive cruise ship slams into a dock in Venice, terrified onlookers left to run for their lives. And the Hobart Hurricanes continue to bolster their stocks, announcing another new signing for the upcoming WBBL season. For these stories, plus a look at the day's weather with Murph, join the team right here at 6. Tonight, the Health Minister under fire as construction at the Royal Hobart Hospital falls behind schedule. Scott Morrison arrives in the Solomon Islands with a $250 million pledge. Anthony Albanese's message for Labor voters as he tours Tasmania. Cruise chaos, the dramatic moment a luxury liner slammed into a dock in Venice. Tasmania cut off from the national electricity market again. And Brendan Bolton gone. Carlton sacks its coach over the club's poor performance.
Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Despite a desperate need for more space, construction of a new wing at the Royal Hobart Hospital has fallen behind schedule. The Health Minister revealing today the redevelopment will not be open to patients until February, stalling the opening of hundreds of new beds.
This construction site to become the long-awaited addition to the Royal Hobart Hospital. Treasurer Peter Gutwin will face his hearing tomorrow. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Trying to counter China's push into the South Pacific, the Prime Minister was in the Solomon Islands today, promising $1 billion in infrastructure spending. Scott Morrison was talking up the region's significance to Australia.
That's why. Serenading our Pacific partners. Mark Riley, 7 News.
And Anthony Albanese's nationwide tour, focusing on what went wrong for Labor, has rolled through Tasmania for another day. And he already has a message for voters. Blame the leadership for bad policies, not the MPs who've been shown the door.
Turning to Tasmania to find out why it all went so wrong. But for now, he'll have to wait as the painfully slow ballot count continues in Bass. Liberal Bridget Archer is leading on a margin of just 560 votes. She's expected to be declared the official winner in the coming days. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Australians have been caught up in a nightmare in Venice as an out-of-control cruise ship rammed into a busy dock. The collision left passengers panicked and injured.
A colossus of modern tourism, pummelling into an ancient city. Amelia Brace, 7 News.
Hopes are fading for an Australian climber missing with 7 others in the Himalayas. Ruth McCants was attempting to summit India's second highest peak, Nanda Devi. Her party's been out of touch for at least a week and a helicopter crew found evidence of a large avalanche. Bad weather is hampering both the air and ground search. Tasmania has been cut off from the national electricity market again with an unexpected outage of the Basslink cable. Luckily, the problem isn't with the undersea cable itself, as was the case during the 2015 breakdown that caused a costly energy crisis.
The Tasmanian base of the Basslink cable has been the focus of restoration efforts today. The owners confirming an electronic issue at the Georgetown converter station forced the undersea cable offline yesterday.
We understand that the fault's at the converter station, so something to do with the control system and the electronics. It's not a cable fault. So it's not like we had back in 2015.
A dispute over who bears the cost for the previous major outage is still continuing. Michael Brent, 7 Tasmania News.
There was no announcement and no big welcome as 3 Chinese warships entered Sydney Harbour this morning. Officially, it's a friendly visit, strengthening ties between our 2 navies. But recent tension in the South China Sea meant the arrival was short on fanfare.
China flexes its military muscle, sending 3 warships into Sydney Harbour. Alex Hart, 7 News.
US President Donald Trump has just touched down in the UK to begin a 3-day official visit. Europe Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfield is at Buckingham Palace tonight. Good evening, Hugh. He's made controversy before he's even landed.
Joe, this will be a visit full of pomp and protest. Air Force One touched down a short time ago. It's the first family's 2nd visit here in 11 months. But unlike the last working trip, this is an official state visit at the invitation of the Queen. The President has already been accused of meddling and interfering in UK politics after backing Boris Johnson for the leadership. So expect plenty of colour and controversy from this visit. Joe.
OK, thank you very much for that, Hugh. Hugh Whitfield joining us there. Carlton has run out of patience with Brendan Bolton. The former Tasmanian and struggling coach axed in a swift decision designed to propel the Blues into an impending battle for the best possible replacement. But a gracious Bolton departed with class, facing the cameras alongside the men who'd just sacked him.
Sacked but still smiling.
Like right back at Hawthorn days. Oh.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
Stay with us. Still to come in our broadcast tonight, a daycare terror rip-off, how fake Australian businesses funneled millions to Islamic State. And how Tasmania is leading the world in the fight against dementia. Welcome back, everyone. 2 drivers have been lucky to avoid injury today after a collision in Launceston. The crash between a hatchback and a truck saw traffic slow to a crawl on Wellington Street just after 11:30 this morning. Fortunately, only minor injuries were reported. $10,000 is now up for grabs for anyone who can help put an end to deliberately lit fires at social housing. Crime Stoppers Tasmania says it's the largest ever award put forward for information leading to a conviction. 20 homes have already been targeted by arson in 2019, with an average of 30 homes damaged by deliberate blazes each year. Crime Stoppers is warning the number of fires is seeing fewer homes available to those in need. One of the largest studies into reducing the risk of dementia is being planned in Tasmania. Experts are recruiting for 10,000 people across the state for the landmark study into a condition that's still very much a mystery.
Louise Carnell is one of many impacted by dementia. Her 90-year-old mother is living with the condition.
My mum has Alzheimer's and it's quite difficult. It was very difficult initially to actually accept.
Dodgy daycare operators are on notice. They will be caught and prosecuted. Close to 200 have been shut down since 2016 after it was found that fraudulent benefits were being used to fund Islamic State. Now police have more centres in their sights.
Arrest after arrest to crack down on a fraud that really has been child's play.
We have people out and about every day, every week, visiting services to check compliance. That's something that will continue.
300 World War II veterans have embarked on an emotional return to Normandy. Setting off from Dover, the journey marks 75 years since soldiers arrived on the beaches of northern France, a turning point of World War II. The 6-day voyage will include a stop in Portsmouth for D-Day commemorations with UK Prime Minister Theresa May and US President Donald Trump before retracing the overnight crossing to Normandy. Protesters have hurled fireworks at police as political unrest continues on the streets of Albania. Opposition supporters stormed a parliament building in the capital Tirana, maintaining their calls for early elections. The The father of controversial tennis star Bernard Tomic has been charged with drink driving. John Tomic was allegedly caught drunk behind the wheel on Saturday. It's not the first time Mr Tomic has been in trouble with the law. He was suspended from events in 2013 after allegedly headbutting his son's training partner. Tom Cooper will join us with all the day's sport news a little later in our bulletin, with Aussie Andrew Bogut and the Golden State Warriors squaring things up in the NBA final. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal on track for a French Open semi-final showdown. And the Tasmanian Tigers put through their paces as pre-season training begins. Those stories with Tom a little later in our bulletin, but coming up next we'll recap the day's headlines. And then the home invasion victim who decided to fight back armed with only a didgeridoo. And on the hunt, Tassie's truffle detecting dogs hit the trail. Welcome back everyone. These are some of the stories making headlines tonight. The Health Minister under fire as construction at the Royal Hobart Hospital falls behind schedule. Cruise chaos, the dramatic moment a luxury liner slammed into a dock in Venice. Tasmania cut off from the national electricity market again. And Brendan Bolton gone. Carlton sacks its coach over the club's poor performance. Tasmania's largest truffle farm has officially begun harvesting. Workers were assisted by some new four-legged recruits today on the scent for the seasonal luxury.
Meet Trigger, the truffle-detecting kelpie, whose nose is almost as rare as the world-renowned delicacy. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
The search for missing Australian woman Marion Barter has gone global, with her daughter retracing her final steps in the United Kingdom. The Gold Coast teacher vanished in 1997 in mysterious circumstances.
Marion Barter was 51 when she vanished, the ex-wife of Socceroo great Johnny Warren. Her case has baffled police ever since.
An Adelaide father has given an intruder the fright of his life, chasing him down half naked and armed only with a didgeridoo. Kim Brock gave the cameras a reenactment of his battle charge this morning with a few more clothes on, explaining how he caught the robber in the act and gave chase in his underpants.
I was down there in all my glory, you know. I was dressed up really nice from there down, that was it, but I noticed I run faster naked, you know, sort of with semi-naked anyway, so I'm...
Now a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local not-for-profit Tasmanian super fund. The Australian share market has suffered its worst loss in 5 months amid jitters on global growth and fears the US is picking a second trade war, this one with Mexico. The ASX 200 index fell 76.4 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 69.46 US cents and 62.16 euro cents. Sport is next now with Tom Cooper. Good evening, Tom. It's been a big night ahead for Ash Barty.
Yeah, good evening, Joe. The Aussie will be aiming to reach her first French Open quarter-final. More on that very shortly. Also coming up, the NPL title race heating up, and more than 700,000 people treat Liverpool to a hero's homecoming. Welcome back. Carlton has joined North Melbourne in the search for a new coach after Brendan Bolton's sacking. Let's get the inside word from Chief Football reporter Mark Stevens at Princess Park. And Steve-O, why have the Blues pulled the trigger now?
Well, Tom, there's a perception that presidents and boards sack coaches. This time CEO Kane Little played a big role in pulling the trigger. It was Little who called Brendan Bolton to a meeting this morning and delivered the bad news. Can they risk a first-timer? That's the big question. And of course, there's a man called Brad Scott now available. Back to you, Tom.
Interesting to see what happens. Thanks for that, Steve-O. Meantime, it's set to be a clash of two of the competition's best big men when Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn go toe-to-toe next Monday. It comes as the fallout from that controversial score review error continues, with some labelling it amateur hour.
He's got a heavyweight showdown with Max Gawn marked down for Monday, and not even an ankle injury will stop Brodie Grundy.
Back home, and Lauderdale defender Josh McGuinness says his side is still a while away from realising its full potential this TSL season, despite the Southern Bombers surviving a third quarter scare against the Tigers at the Twin Ovals last Saturday to move to the top of the competition ladder with a 42-point win.
We feel like we're going along pretty well at the moment. We've still got a lot of things in our game we want to fix, and we feel like we haven't sort of played a real big four-quarter offensive performance yet.
The former Brisbane Lions recruit is set to play for the Tasmania Devils in this Sunday's under-25 representative match against Victoria Metro at UTAS Stadium before Lauderdale's round 11 clash with Clarence on June 15. And the votes are in for the RACT Insurance Player of the Year in the TSL after round 10, with Pies stalwart Jay Bowden awarded the 3 votes during his side's cruisy win over Clarence. 3 goals from Alex Heavey was enough to see him judged best on in Lauderdale's 7-goal win against Kingborough. And Blues young gun Miller Hodge was the standout for the side against North Hobart at Windsor Park. To the leaderboard, and Launceston midfielder Fletcher Seymour joins Lauderdale Sam Siggins on top with 9 votes, with a string of the competition's best 1 vote back. To soccer, and the NPL title race continues to heat up, with Olympia confident it can close the gap on Devonport following yesterday's impressive win over the Zebras. Meantime, the off-season break is officially over for the Tasmanian Tigers, who got stuck back into training today. Scott produced another contender for goal of the season in yesterday's 3-1 win over Hobart, with the Warriors keen to atone for their gutting Lacasseljak Cup semi-final loss to South Hobart. Sloane Stephens knocked out 2016 champion Garbin Muguruza in straight sets. And around 750,000 people greeted Liverpool on their homecoming to celebrate their Champions League triumph. The 2-0 victory over Tottenham gave the Reds their 6th European Cup. And Andrew Bogut took flight in Game 2 of the NBA Finals in Toronto today.
He throws it up, and Andrew Bogut, Air Bogut.
Bogut's 6 points helped the Warriors beat Toronto 109-104 to level the best of 7 series at 1-1. But Golden State superstar Klay Thompson injured a hamstring. 750,000 people in greeting Liverpool, Joe. That is absolutely insane.
It is. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Amazing pictures. Great pictures.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for that, Tom. Peter Murphy will be joining us right after the break with the day's weather.
Good evening. Temperatures today ranged from -3 on Mount Wellington to our top of 13 at Burnie, Devonport and the Bass Strait Islands. Hobart 10 and Launceston 11. Maximum temperatures between 2 and 4 below average. Smithton 12, Low Head, St Helens and Strawn 11 degrees. Friendly Beaches and Ooze 10 and Lyowini a top of 2. An extensive area of cold speckled cloud moved over the state today. The far north of Tasmania found the clearer skies. A cold front has cloud over Victoria, with that cold pool of air pushing westwards to south of Adelaide. Low cloud is trapped under a high over the Bight. High cloud is streaming over parts of the north of the continent. Tomorrow the low will move east over the Tasman Sea. The high over the Bight remains slow moving while a cold front passes to the south of WA. Winds south to southwesterly at 15 to 20 knots, but getting up to 20 to 30 knots over the east and south. So we have a strong wind warning for the eastern waters from the top of Flinders Island to South East Cape. A small craft wind alert for the Central Plateau Lakes. Tuesday in Hobart, a top of 12 and partly cloudy, 11 for Adventure Bay, the chance of a shower. Early frost for Tarraleah, a top of 7. Launceston 12, 0 overnight, but a sunny afternoon. 13 the high for Devonport with the same sort of weather. Bridport fine as well and 12 degrees. Burnie, mostly sunny and 13, 11 the top for Strawn with a shower or 2, partly cloudy for Marrawar and 13 the high. And for St Helens tomorrow, partly cloudy and 13. Same for Swansea. Whitemark partly cloudy and 13 as well. Fine on Wednesday apart from a shower over the west and far south. Similar weather for Thursday with fresh and gusty westerlies developing, and on Friday patchy morning frost and fine apart from morning showers over the west. Sunny and 23 in Perth tomorrow, cloudy and cool in Adelaide, a possible shower for Melbourne, windy and wet for Canberra and Sydney, windy, cold and sunny for Brisbane. A little cloudy and 7 in Hobart, 6 right now in Launceston and 6 degrees in Devonport. That's Monday's weather, Joe. You excited?
Nope, I'm not happy at all. It needs to go up a bit. Thank you very much, Mert. That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a bit later with updates. Bye.